Greetings and salutations, Wastelanders and Wanderers. My name is Oscapt. Do you remember the Cremator for Commandos? It was that explosive plasma rifle build that could melt anything in its path. Well, forget everything you thought you knew about that build, because this is something entirely different. It's even more powerful than the original. I stopped running a bloodied build when I started running raids, and that sort of broke the Science Dweeb build and the CFC. It's still tons of fun to liquefy enemies from across the map, so I sat down to turn this into a full health commando build that I'm now calling the Thorny Bastard. Let's break down what makes this build extraordinary and why it's worth switching from the Science Dweeb if you want a full health commando instead. The original Science Dweeb was all about stats boosts from a bloodied build's unyielding armor, combined with explosive rounds on a plasma rifle that we modified to shoot really far with zero recoil. This build takes a completely different approach. Unyielding is a difficult mod to get in the game because you either get it as a random roll or you have a tiny chance of getting it out of scrapping unyielding armor. Unyielding armor itself is a rare drop, so you have a multiplicatively small chance of getting a mod or learning how to make it. That makes bloodied builds virtually inaccessible for many players. Instead of relying on low health for damage boosts, we're using a combination of 4-star legendary effects, stealth mechanics, and near-perfect critical hit efficiency to deal consistent high damage while staying practically immortal. Yes, you heard that right. 4-star legendaries. These come from the raids, and while they're not necessary for the build to work, they elevate it from really good to absolutely ridiculous. And in a ballet of death, you want to be the star performer. Our base special spread focuses on perception, endurance, agility, and luck, with intelligence kept pretty high for XP gains. Let's talk about our primary weapon. This is not the explosive CFC anymore. We've gone in a completely different direction. We're now running vampires for constant healing, VATS enhanced for accuracy, VATS optimized to reduce AP costs, and fracturers. Fracturers is a 4-star effect that makes crippled limbs explode, dealing up to 50 explosion damage to nearby enemies. This is often enough to kill an enemy, or at the very least, to stun them and drop their health to almost zero. For me, it replaces far-flung fireworks as a legendary perk, and when combined with concentrated fire, gun fu, and all the VATS perks under luck, we're creating chain reactions of explosions while healing ourselves and barely using any AP or tapping our crit meter. It's also stupidly fun and oh so satisfying to see things go boom. If you don't have or don't want to use the CFC, this build also pairs nicely with the Fixer, which I run as a backup weapon. It's modified with Quad for massive magazine size, Vital for critical damage, VATS optimized like our plasma rifle, and pinpointers for 50% more damage when targeting limbs. Remember, kids, anything that's not a torso is a limb, and that includes heads. With Quad, you're looking at a magazine size that lets you stay in a fight practically forever without reloading. Pinpointers synergizes perfectly with our build's focus on limb targeting, and since we're running VATS optimized and a slew of perk cards that help in VATS, our AP barely moves. But when things get hairy and you get mobbed, well, you're basically a tank who doesn't care. The Science Dweeb used unyielding Secret Service armor, and that stuff was so hard to roll before the new legendary crafting system that I've still been using it even as a non-bloodied build. This week I said, no more! But instead of crafting a new set of Secret Service armor, I decided to use the Thorn armor that I've had sitting in my stash. You can get Thorn armor from Regs in Vault 79 or from Minerva. If you want to know when she'll have it, check out the Minerva search function in the Vault 42 Discord. There's an invitation link in the video description if you're not already a member there. One of the Thorn armor set bonuses is to add 250 bleed damage over 10 seconds to melee attacks. This isn't a melee build. And although throwing knives are considered melee weapons, unfortunately, it doesn't apply to those. Another bonus effect is to inflict 125 bleed damage over 5 seconds to melee attackers, and while that's helpful, we're not going to rely on it. What we care about is the 15% reduction in detection chance and the 5% less noise while sneaking. Combined with our legendary effects, we become practically invisible. Thorn Armor shares its base with the Scout Armor sets, and you can purchase mod boxes from the Modus Armory terminal in the White Spring Bunker. I've added ultralight build and polymer to everything, giving me an additional 25 AP while making the armor 80% lighter, and adding 100 points to my damage resistance and 50 points to my energy resistance. This gives me a base DR of 665 and ER of 575 before any legendary effects. Speaking of legendary effects, let's break down what we're running on each piece. Our chest piece is the Stealth Cornerstone, Chameleon for invisibility when crouched, Powered for AP regen, Secret Agents for even more stealth, and Tankies for some unreal damage resistance when getting swarmed. The limbs follow a similar pattern, mixing Vanguards and Aristocrats effects with stats boosting, AP regen, and weight reduction, then stacking multiple Tankies and limit breaking effects. With 2 pieces of limit breaking, we're reducing critical hit costs by 20%. Stack that with our perk setup, and we're about to witness something extraordinary. Remember that weapons in Fallout 76 benefit from builds. Our perks for the Thorny Bastard are similar to those for the CFC, with updates for the perk restructuring that appeared in Season 19. I'll have to revise it again for Season 20 when even more changes are going to arrive. The main difference is that a lot has moved over to Endurance, boosting resistances based on overall endurance. I've maxed out that special stat, and I use buffs like Pemmican to keep my endurance high. In Perception, we're still running our Commando Trinity, but now Tank Killer is only rank 2. Why? Well, because we needed those points elsewhere, and with our new legendary effects, we don't need as much armor penetration. I really wish I could use Fire in the Hole with throwing knives to trigger the bleed effect. Knives are still fun and they keep me in stealth, but they're too much maintenance when compared to just shooting enemies. Instead, I'm still running Green Thumb because I'm always collecting flora for buffs like Berry Mentats, Cranberry Relish, and Tasty Squirrel Stew. I am an XP whore. But I still moved points out of intelligence and over to agility. We're still running Demolition Expert, but not for explosive rounds anymore. In fact, the 1-star Demolition Expert I still have loaded is because there's not really anything else to put there. We're getting explosive damage off of the Fracturers mod, but I don't know if Demolition Expert affects it. I mostly keep intelligence as high as I can for the XP gain, and those 4 points that I took out of Demolition Expert got moved to agility so that I could max out adrenaline. Honestly though, at this point our damage output is already insane, so doing more is just adding insult to injury for the enemies. Fortunately, they're already dead before they figure it out. This is a VATS build, so you need to max out luck. We've got better criticals, critical savvy, 4-leaf clover, and Grim Reaper's sprint working together to create what I like to call the endless critical chain. With this setup, we're frequently using only 10% of our critical meter per shot. With buffs like Awesome Opossum Bacon, our armor effects, and these perks, we can land critical hits almost continuously. I just hold down the critical button every time I fire a weapon in VATS because it triggers so often that I no longer even hear the ba-dong sound of the critical meter refilling. For legendary perks, I'm running Master Infiltrator because I can't be bothered to spend time hacking terminals and picking locks. Plus, the hacker perks take up valuable space that I can use for something else. I'm also running fully ranked Agility, Intelligence, Endurance, and Luck, and a fully ranked follow-through for additional sneak damage on ranged attacks. This last one has questionable value and is largely situational. For me, even when I'm on a team, I'm usually running around solo. This is overkill. I like overkill. So let's take this build out for a drive. We'll start at West Tech, where these super mutants are about to have a very bad day. Notice that we stay hidden even after the first shot, the second shot, and the 20th shot. That's our Thorn Armor and our stealth perks at work. Now, pay attention to the critical hits. 1, 2, 3, 1,000, each one using very little of the critical meter, often using minimal AP, and also healing us through the vampire's effect. And look, they still can't find us. Now, if I let them roll up on me and start to wail on me, Tankies triggers, and I can stand there and eat an ice cream for 10 seconds or even longer before I need to pay attention. Meanwhile, the melee attackers are taking bleed damage, and while it may not be enough to kill them, it's not nothing. At Morgantown, we can really showcase the range on these weapons. Watch how VATS just locks on at ridiculous distances, and even when I miss, 4-leaf clover adds to the critical meter, so missing is a good thing. What I think is truly spectacular isn't just the accuracy, it's how VATS performs. Even with a low hit chance, I'm still able to track these targets and take them out. Eastern Regional Penitentiary is perfect for demonstrating how this build handles enemies in tight spaces. The ghouls here are quick to mob, so if I get into trouble, tankies kicks in while I sweep the horde. If I do so in VATS, Fracturers on the CFC adds additional explosive damage, which works well when there are a lot of enemies around. I really like headshots, so Fracturers and Pinpointers make it super easy to pop enemy heads like candy. Add in Bloody Mess, and it's a delightful gore fest. Watch our health bar. Even if we're taking hits, Vampires is keeping us topped off. That's the beauty of this build. You don't need to hide behind cover or pop stim packs, just keep firing, keep critting, keep healing, and if the enemies get close, well, you've got time to respond. Let's shift our focus to Mole Miners. These guys are usually tough because of their innate armor, but watch this. Pinpointers gives us 50% more damage when targeting limbs. Combined with concentrated fire, we're not just hitting them, we're dismantling them. Isn't that what SpaceX calls it when they blow up a vehicle? Unexpected structural disassembly or something? Well, this is that. And because of Fracturers on the plasma rifle, we can use explosions to set off chain reactions of car bombs, taking out other enemies along the way. I know you're probably thinking, oh, Oscapt, I haven't done any raids. I can't get 4-star legendaries. Don't worry. While these 4-star effects take the build from amazing to absolutely broken, you can still run this build effectively with 3-star legendaries. Here's what to look for. For the plasma rifle, well, Vampires is non-negotiable. For 2-star, you can use VATS Enhanced or Hitman's, and for a 3-star, you could use VATS Optimized or Swift. For the Fixer, your 1st star should be Quad or Anti-Armor, 2nd star should be Vital or Rapid, and 3rd star, VATS Optimized. The core strength comes from the perk synergies and the Thorn Armor set bonus. However, you want to consider mutations and buffs. And again, I know what you're thinking. What about Class Freak? Well, it's simple. I needed those perk points for something else. And yes, it means we have to manage mutation serums, but in Fallout 76, everything's a chore anyway, so we might as well make it worthwhile. Check out this mutation lineup. We're running 10 of them, and each one is pulling its weight. Most work well with this build, but the negative effects need to be managed. Starting at the top, Adrenal Reaction kicks up damage if I'm losing health. It's left over from my bloodied build, but if I do get mobbed and overwhelmed, it'll offer some assistance. It starts working even before I've lost very much health. So from the first hit, it works to offset any losses in Vanguard. Bird Bones is for the boost to agility and to not break my legs when I'm coming down from a kangaroo jump. I need Marsupial because I no longer have a jetpack, but as long as my weight is low, I can jump pretty high. Being a carnivore isn't just about saving crops for your vegetarian friends. It's about doubling every meat-based buff in the game. And when you stack them right, you can get some significant buffs. Deathclaw Steak, that helps offset our strength penalties. Broiled Scorched Beast Brain and some Berry Mentats, well, now you're talking serious XP gains. Cooked softshell meat and company tea with a side of canned coffee, it's AP heaven. This is Awesome Opossum Bacon at work, adding an extra 8 points to our luck to trigger crits and ricochet as often as we can. Double meat benefits means double awesome, and that feeds into other parts of the build. Speaking of critical hits, Eagle Eyes boosts crit damage by 50% and perception by 4 for greater accuracy at range. Egghead for an intelligence boost, and Speed Demon for faster reload and movement speed. The biggest drawback to mutations is the reduction in strength. Without offsetting the negative aspect of these mutations, I'm quite feeble. But after taking mutation serums and eating the right foods, I'm an unstoppable titan for an hour. Most of the stuff that you want to eat can be found in either the Deathclaw Slow Roaster or the Mirelurk Steamer. You can also get recipes and hard-to-craft items from Yasmin Chowdhury if you have her as your ally. Between these 3, you'll spend less time scrounging and more time slaying. As for the serums, well, you'll need to pop those every hour to handle the strength penalties, and it's annoying. You could add another 5 points of strength with a legendary perk, and maybe that's better than follow through. You'll have to decide for yourself. One nice thing is that raid bosses drop serums like candy. So while you and your friends are out there farming 4 stars for your gear, you're also stocking up on mutation management. If you're not running raids, you'll find mutation serums in pretty much everybody's vending machine at this point, and they are so prevalent that the prices are usually low. Otherwise, save up your caps and learn how to craft your own. All you need is to occasionally drop a nuke, and that's an easy and great way to bond with your friends. The Thorny Bastard isn't just an upgrade to the Science Dweeb, it's a completely different animal. You're trading raw explosive damage for sustainability, stealth, and consistent critical hits that will make any bloodied build jealous. You're also trading management of rads for management of consumables. Different path, same destination, turning everything in the wasteland into a pile of glowing goo. In this build, you're virtually invisible. You're constantly healing, and you're laying down damage like a freight train. You can do this all day long without worrying about dying to a stray bullet or running out of stim packs or getting blasted with a bunch of rads that actually kill you. If you're running the Science Dweeb, well, give the Thorny Bastard a try. If you're new to commando builds entirely, then this is your chance to experience something special. And if you've got access to raids and 4-star legendaries, well, you are about to become a walking apocalypse. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about this build. What would you change? How would you modify it for your playstyle? And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more Fallout 76 builds that bend the game until it breaks. I'll post a link in the video description for the build on nukes and dragons, and you can copy it and play with it on your own. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ozcapped. I am one half of Gamer Aviator. And until next time, stay thorny, Vault Dwellers.
Virginia, where the shadows creep and sway, lies a land of rusted dreams, where the brave dare not stray. Appalachia, oh, it's a treacherous ride, with dangers untold and